Good morning. Topic for today is example networks, internet and public networks. In today's topic, we will try to understand how the internet has been evolved and what are the different examples of the networks which are well known or less known. Objective of today's session is to understand the evolution of internet, to know the architecture of internet, to get familiarity with the first public data network X.25 and to understand the architecture of original Ethernet, and at last to introduce wireless LAN 802.11. First of all, let us see the outline of the discussion. At very first, we will see the internet as example network, followed by connection oriented networks X.25 and frame relay networks as example networks, then Ethernet as example network, and we know well that Ethernet is the dominant local area network. After that, another example network will be IEEE 802.11, the standard for wireless LANs local area network. Okay, first, internet. Internet is the best known network. Internet is the best known network. So we will first learn about internet. Let us see how the internet has been evolved, starting from ARPANET, followed by NSFNet, then this combination of ARPANET and NSFNet with some combination of private networks leads to internet. ARPANET stands for Advanced Research Project Agency Network. In 1969, ARPANET was started to connect computers at US Defense and different universities. After the success of ARPANET, there was a new project, NSFNet, National Science Foundation Network, was initiated. In 1980, NSFNet was started to make a high capacity network to be used strictly for academic and engineering research. In 1990, the internetworking of ARPANET and NSFNet and other private networks resulted into internet. We can see this, that ARPANET plus NSFNet plus some other private networks resulted into internet. The journey of internet started from connecting few computer nodes from ARPANET followed by NSFNet to the internet. Let us define internet. Internet is the vast collection of different networks that use certain common protocols and provide certain common services. In fact, it is an unusual system in that it was not planned by anyone. It was not planned by anyone and is not controlled by anyone. To better understand, let us start from the beginning to see how it has developed and why. How it has developed and why. Earlier we have seen that there is a ARPANET project in which computers were connected. Beginning was from there. ARPANET. It is abbreviated as Advanced Research Project Agency Network. In mid 60s, Department of Defense started ARPANET to build a network that could resist any attacks. It was helping academicians to share research. ARPANET initially connected 4 major universities: University of California at Los Angeles, University of California at Berkeley, University of Utah, Stanford Research Institute. Let us see the working mechanism of the ARPANET. ARPANET used the packet switching technology to interconnect 4 nodes. Hence, Department of Defense divided the network into subnets and host computers. Subnet would consist of many computers called interface message processors connected by transmission lines, and this transmission line was 56 kbps capacity. For high reliability, each IMP would be connected at least 2 IMPs. Let us see this. This is the original ARPANET design. Initially, ARPANET design was like this. This square node represents host, and this circular node represents IMP. IMP stands for interface message processor, and this infrastructure is forming a subnet in which different IMPs are connected with each other to ensure communication, smooth and reliable communication. And here we are seeing that each IMP is connected with at least two other IMPs. Each IMP is connected with at least 2 other IMPs, and there is a IMP to IMP protocol, IMP to IMP protocol, and there is a host to host protocol set of rules for communication. If this host transmits some message that pass through this host to this subnet to this host, if one of the route fails, suppose the message is here and currently it is here, and this node fails, means this path has been blocked. In that case, this can be forwarded to the host through this path. If this is working fine, then this path can be chosen like this. This model of ARPANET, initially this model of ARPANET was comprising only 4 nodes, and then expanded to 8 nodes, then 15 nodes, and so on, expanded to form today's internet. Let us see the architecture of the internet. Here we have numerous components: client, POP, regional ISP, internet service provider. This is the backbone. National access point, NAP, server farm, router, and this is the corporate LAN, local area network. When a particular user or client wants to communicate to some other node, say to this node, what will it do? It will connect through telephone lines to the regional ISP, and followed by that message will be passed to the backbone, and through network national access point, and through router infrastructure, and ultimately that will reach to the corporate LAN node. This will be more clear later. Overall, the architecture of the internet comprises client, regional ISPs, backbone, client, regional ISPs, backbone, national access point, server farm, corporate LAN, and a network of routers, subnet. This is the hierarchical organization of the internet. First of all, structure of national internet service provider. Local ISPs are there, internet service provider is there, and local ISPs are connected to regional ISPs through router, and these regional ISPs are connected to the national ISPs, and national ISPs are connected to each other through national access point. Okay, so we have seen the first example network as internet. Now let us see the second example network, which is connection oriented network. Connection oriented network X.25. Our first example of connection oriented network is X.25, and second one will be frame relay, which we will discuss later, which was the first public data network. X.25 was the first public data network. It was deployed in 1970s. To use X.25, a computer first established a connection to the remote computer, that is placed a telephone call. This connection was given a connection number to be used in data transfer packets. The third example network, which one is again is a frame relay, is again a connection oriented network. In the 1980s, X.25 network was largely replaced by new kind of network called frame relay. The essence of frame relay is that it is a connection oriented network with no error control and no flow control. No error control and no flow control. Because it was connection oriented, packets were delivered in order. The properties of in order delivery, no error control and no flow control make frame relay akin to wide area LAN. Its most important application is interconnecting LANs at multiple company offices. Its most important application is interconnecting LANs at multiple company offices. Frame relay enjoyed a modest success and is still in use places today. So till now we have seen evolution of the internet, followed by another example network X.25, then frame relay. Now it's time to see another example network, Ethernet, which is synonym for LAN, local area network. Internet was designed for wide area networking. Internet was designed for wide area networking. However, many companies, universities, and other organizations have large number of computers that must be connected. This need gave rise to the local area network. This is the original architecture of the Ethernet. Here we have a number of nodes. and these nodes are connected through ether, a physical medium. It is a cable through a device, transceiver, transmitter and receiver. This device acts as a transmitter as well as a receiver through some interface cable. This is the interface cable and this is the transmitter and receiver. This is working as a transmitter and receiver. If we say that this is a station, then if any station wish to transmit some message to another station, say it is station 1 and it is station 2. If station 1 wants to transmit some message to station 2, then before transmitting, station 1 must listen to the medium ether, whether it is already busy or not. If it is busy, then it should stop and wait and transmit later. Let us see the working mechanism of the Ethernet. Before transmitting, a computer first listens to the cable to see if someone else was already transmitting. Before transmitting, a computer first listens to the cable to see if someone else was already transmitting. If so, the computer is held back until the current transmission is finished. Doing so avoided interfering with existing transmission, giving a much higher efficiency. Despite the computer listening before transmitting, a problem still arises. What happens if two or more computers all wait until the current transmission completes and then all start at once? This leads to a collision. The solution is to have each computer listen during its own transmission, and if it detects interference, jam the ether to alert all senders, then back off and wait a random time before retrying. If a second collision happens, the random waiting time is doubled, and so on. We have seen this in CSMA, carrier sense multiple access method, in earlier discussions, to spread out the completing transmission and give one of them a chance to go first. Now let us see the current scenario of the Ethernet. Ethernet continues to develop and is still developing. New versions at 100 Mbps, 1000 Mbps and still higher have come out. In passing it is worth mentioning that Ethernet IEEE 802.3 is not the only LAN standard. The committee also standardized a token bus 802.4 and a token ring 802.5. Similarly, IBM had its own favorite, its proprietary token ring. The token was passed around the ring, and whichever computer held the token was allowed to transmit before putting the token back on the ring. Let us see what is in the number IEEE 802 standard working group. This is the number and this is the topic. 802.1 is concerned with overview and architecture of LANs. 802.2 is concerned with logical link control. 802.3 Ethernet. 802.4 concerned with token bus. 802.5 concerned with token ring. 802.6 dual queue dual bus. 802.7 technical advisory group. 802.8 technical advisory group on fiber optic technology. 802.9 isochronous LANs. 802.1010 virtual LAN and security. After that means all these are related with wired LANs. Now 802.11 wireless LANs, 802.12 demand priority, 802.13 unlucky number. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it means there is no standard or group like 802.13. 802.14 cable modems, 802.15 personal area networks related to Bluetooth, 802.16 broadband wireless, 802.13 resilient packet ring. Okay, now let us see last example network for today's session, wireless LANs 802.11. Almost as soon as notebook computers appeared, many people had a dream of walking into an office and magically having their notebook computer to be connected to the internet. Consequently, various groups began working on ways to accomplish this goal. The most practical approach is to equip both the office and the notebook computers with short range radio transmitters and receivers, short range radio transmitters and receiver to allow them to communicate. The trouble was that no two of them were compatible. No two of them were compatible. This proliferation of a standard meant that a computer equipped with a brand X radio would not work in room equipped with a brand Y base station. Means there is a compatibility issue. X and Y are incompatible. Finally, the industry decided that a wireless LAN standard, wireless LAN standard might be a good idea. So the IEEE committee that standardized the wired LAN was given the task of drawing up a wireless LAN standard. The standard it came up with was named 802.11. A common slang name for it is Wi-Fi. Categories of wireless networks. The proposed network had to work into two modes. First mode is in the presence of a base station, and second mode is in the absence of base station. This can be seen here. Wireless networking with base station. Here these nodes are communicating with base station through wireless mode, and here there is no base station. This is the ad hoc networking, and here this is the wireless networking with base station. Okay. Categories of wireless networks. Base station. All communication. First category is wireless network with base station. All communication through an access point. All communication through access point. Other nodes can be fixed or mobile. Second type is infrastructure wireless. Base station network is connected to the wired internet. Third is ad hoc wireless. Wireless nodes communicate directly with one another. Fourth one is MANET, mobile ad hoc networks. Ad hoc networks are mobile. Okay. 802.11 wireless LANs. Here it is a wired LAN. In this diagram we are seeing that it's a wired LAN network connected to the legacy systems, and here access point is there, and this access point is connected to this wired LAN, and this is a desktop with PCI 802.11 LAN card and communicating to this access point in a wireless way, and this is the laptop with PCMCIA 802.11 LAN card communicating to this access point in a wireless way. 802.11 wireless LAN provides network connectivity over wireless media. An access point AP is installed to act as a bridge between wireless and wired network. This is the wired network and this is wireless network, and this access point is working as a bridge. This access point is working as a bridge. The access point is connected to the wired network and is equipped with antenna to provide wireless connectivity. Range 802.11 wireless range. Distance between access point and WLAN client depends on structural hindrances and RF gain of the antenna at the access point. To service larger areas, multiple access points may be installed with 20 to 30% overlap. A client is always associated with one access point, and when the client moves closer to another access point, it associated with new AP. This process is known as handoff. Now we have three flavors of 802.11 wireless LANs, that is 802.11b, 802.11a, 802.11z. Okay. Now let us summarize what have we discussed today. We understood the evolution of internet. We discussed the architecture of internet, and we have seen that in the internet a number of components like client, ISPs, backbones, the server farms were there. We got familiarity with the first public data network, X.25. We understood the architecture of original Ethernet and seen that now it is in existence. At last we have introduced wireless LAN 802.11, and we have seen that there are three flavors of 802.11. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much.